those are not the accurate numbers. I think it's the good medicine.
Yeah, me too.
Well, absolutely, it's a good medicine, but it make it, so political.
Ridiculous.
It is, and what happened was we were using it, without any issues, and when the patient first come in, I think it works the best, in the beginning, and I think, when they politicize it, and now it is. It's like a taboo, and they're not allowing the doctors to write it.
They took them off the internet.
I know it. It is so sad, actually, but this is the new era, and it's dangerous, I tell you that.
Yeah,
And,
it's part of a bigger agenda.
well, no doubt. There's no doubt about it. I think that is all it's a plan, and hopefully people will wise up. Yeah, I mean, it without any problem. We saw patients in the hospital that were, getting better with hydroxychloroquine, and now it is, you cannot even write it anymore. I mean, that's...
You can't?
No, because, that's not, when you write it, they are gonna, pin you and they tag you and say, hey, why are you writing it, and they're not available anymore.
That's ridiculous.
It is.
I think reporting it.
Let me tell you, I'll show it to you, the website. So make sure that this is 269, okay. Okay, now reporting when you see those numbers, let's go to the CDC website, okay? So let's see, this is the CDC, this is the government that, runs this website. And this is the section. And when you look at that website, you go to the data and surveillance, okay? And then you can go to the cases in the US, okay? So this is the numbers that you are seeing, 5 mil for the total cases, 162 total deaths, okay? Now, here is how they collect this data, okay, from the government, about the data, when you click on it, about the CDC COVID-19 data, okay? Now, confirmed and probable counts. As of April 14, 2020, CDC case counts and death counts include both confirmed and probable cases and deaths. So those numbers include the actual ones and the probable ones, okay? A confirmed case or death is defined by meeting confirmatory laboratory evidence of COVID-19. So this is fine. So you get tested, you're positive, you should be on those numbers, right? Now, a probable case or death, these are the numbers that we're talking about, and they're already including those two numbers. Is defined by one of the following. You don't have the three of them, only one will put you in those categories. Meaning clinical criteria and epidemiologic evidence with no confirmatory laboratory testing performed for COVID-19. In other words, clinical criteria. What are those clinical criteria? You might be short of breath, you might have a cough. Not confirmed, no test done, but they may say possible or suspected, and then they will include it into that case.
Just like our conversation, you could do that?
Well, again, in the hospital, and if I put it as a possible, because you may say, you know what, I was, last week I was having some cough, short of breath, I'm worried about, can we check it? Then I will, in order to check it, I have to put a diagnosis. And then I said, okay, possible, then you will be in that number. So you go to another doctor's office and then say the same thing and test it again 2 weeks later, you'll be there again.
And that's another number?
Another number.
How's that legal?
That's what they are saying. With no confirmatory laboratory testing. I can even not test you, but I can say, well, your symptoms might be. Now, the other thing is meeting presumptive laboratory evidence, not confirmatory, but presumptive. Either clinical criteria, again, no lab test, okay? So, presumptive laboratory evidence, COVID is an inflammatory reaction. So you might have a, arthritis. You might have a boil, which is inflammation. Then when we check the blood work, your certain things might be, elevated, and then suspected you'll be in those numbers. Now, meeting vital records criteria with no confirmatory laboratory testing performed for COVID-19. So you might have a fever from a sore throat. Possible you can be, included. Now, what happens is in the beginning when we see these high volume patients in the beginning, the hospital was empty. Everybody was, and nobody else was in the hospital. Hospital stopped the surgeries. Hospital stopped the procedures. There was no radiology. So hospital lost a lot of money. Okay, and then the doctors, but mostly the nurses and nurses' aides, if they were having some cough or shortness of breath for something else, we were saying, okay, go home, 2 weeks quarantine, and then come back. So the hospital gave overtime to the actually working people. So they lost a lot of money. And then the government said, okay, if you are treating patients, we're gonna give you a little bit more, money. So everybody coming to the hospital was put into the hospital with a possible case. So those numbers are, elevated because of that. Now, in the beginning, we lost, quite some people, but we were not knowing what type of, treatment these patients were needed. So then, once we start learning it, the death rate is, go down, and I think, you are seeing some of the numbers going up because we're testing. You
Right.
test more, you will see more patients, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're all dying. So actually, when you look at it, the death rate is very close to the regular flu.
I think it's lower than that.
Nobody's talking about it.
And there were like false positive tests.
Again, it's all, there's an agenda, as you said. I think that's what it is, and it is sad. And a lot of people are not aware of it, and then they're getting, and there's some unintentional, consequences of this, staying at home, because especially with these nursing home people, they don't see their kids, their grandkids. They don't go to the, the common areas, that they do not socialize with each other. They stay at home and look at the wall. They get depressed, they get stiff arthritis, and they hurt more, and then they lost their balances, they fracture, they die. Depression and anxiety. And then at home, everybody was staying at home, anxiety, depression went up, domestic violence went up, abuse went up. I mean, there's a lot of unintentional consequences. Nobody is, talking about these. But again, this is what the actual, the data is about. So
It's insane.
it is.